You're listening to episode 89 of the Fed and Fearless podcast. On today's episode, I'm chatting with Valerie Agyeman about how to run a successful nutrition event, whether that's in person or virtually. So stay tuned. Welcome to the Fed and Fearless podcast. I'm your host, Laura Schoenfeld, a registered dietitian, nutrition business coach, and online entrepreneur with over 10 years of experience in online business. And I'm here to show you everything I've learned about creating a life and a business that nourishes you. On this podcast, we'll talk about the lifestyle habits, practical strategies, mindset shifts, and leaps of faith required to build a healthy body, a powerful mind, a strong spirit, and a successful business. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Fed and Fearless podcast. I'm Laura Schoenfeld, your host as always, and we have a little bit of a different episode today that is a little more focused on the business side of things. And this one's going to be really valuable for any of you who have a desire to run an event for your business. Now, whether that is an in-person event or a virtual event or anything in between, there's a lot that goes into creating a successful event. And my guest today is somebody who has done many of them very successfully. So I'm excited to chat with her about that. And before I share with you about our guest today, I wanted to let you know that if you're listening on the day that this comes out, which is June 28th, 2021, then I have a super special announcement for you. My business coach, James Wedmore, is releasing his signature Business by Design program today, and it's open for the next 4 days. In this one-of-a-kind program, James shows you exactly what keeps most business owners stuck and struggling and coaches you through the 5 key areas you need to focus on to overcome whatever is standing in the way of your success in your online business. His program also provides a wealth of how-to and instructional content that will help you execute every important task in your online business, from running a launch to hiring your first VA and everything in between. I consider BBD my business Bible, and I've seen health and nutrition entrepreneurs become wildly successful in their online businesses through applying what James teaches, both from a strategy and a mindset perspective. And now these kind of results are possible for you too. So like I said, BBD is open today. It's open for the next 4 days, and then it's not opening again until next year. So if this is something that you want to get in on, then go to lauraschoenfeld.com/BBD. That's Business by Design, BBD. And that's where you can learn about the bonuses that I'm going to be sharing when you join BBD under me. We're going to have additional trainings covering tools and strategies that are specific to nutrition and dietitian entrepreneurs. We're going to talk about starting, growing, and scaling your business to 6 figures and beyond. And there's going to be lots of opportunity to get my support and coaching as you work through the program. So if you join BBD using my link, you'll get access to all of these bonuses. Totally complimentary. You're not going to pay a single dime extra to access this additional content and coaching from me to help apply what you're learning in BBD to your nutrition business. So don't miss your chance to learn the business strategies that have changed my life and the lives of thousands of other online entrepreneurs. And this is your opportunity to step into the role of confident CEO in your online nutrition business. Go to lauraschoenfeld.com/BBD to check out the bonuses and to enroll in Business by Design. And I'm so excited if you're going to join me in the program. James is one of the best coaches I've ever worked with. I've been working with him since 2018, and this year I'm in his mastermind, and I just absolutely love the way that he teaches online business. He's a marketing genius, and it's just incredible to watch the kind of results people can get when they apply what they're learning in the program to their online business. So I hope you'll join me for that program. And now we can talk a little bit about my guest today, because again, the topic that we're covering today is super relevant to anyone who's running a business, a nutrition business, a wellness business, any business that you want to be able to provide events for. And an event can be an online event. It could be a 1-hour Zoom call, or it could be a multi-day experience. So there's lots of different ways that you can run a nutrition event. And the guest that I have on today is someone who's run a bunch of them and does them very successfully, despite not necessarily having a lot of time to prep. So I'm very excited to have with me on the show, Valerie Agyeman. Valerie is a women's health dietitian and founder of Flourish, a nutrition practice empowering women in health and wellness. She helps women understand the powerful relationship between what they eat and how their body looks, feels, and functions so they can make wiser, conscious choices and establish a healthy relationship with food and their body. Through her platform, Valerie has organized workshops and events that have brought hundreds of women together locally and internationally to inspire change, educate, and build stronger, healthier communities. Valerie is a trusted expert in food and nutrition and has appeared on various publications such as Women's Health Magazine, Cosmopolitan, and local media networks, including ABC's Good Morning Washington show and CBS Virginia's This Morning show. So as you can see, our guest today is someone who's definitely done a lot of work in a lot of different ways, and she's getting out there with her business in a way that is super service-oriented and is always focused on just helping her community to become healthier and happier. So I really love this conversation with her. She's super inspiring just with all of the different ways that she is reaching her ideal clients and supporting people and making a difference in the world. And I think you're really going to love our conversation today. So without further ado, here is registered dietitian Valerie Agyeman. All right, everybody. Well, I am so excited to have with me on the show today, Valerie Agyeman. Welcome to the Fed and Fearless podcast, Valerie.
Hey.
I'm so excited to have you here. It's really cool to get to chat with you. I know that we've interacted via, I guess, mostly Instagram, like DMs and stuff in the past with different like dietitian collaborations and that kind of thing. So it's really awesome to get to chat with you on the show today. And we have a lot of nutritionists and entrepreneurs that listen. And so I know your story is going to be super inspiring to them. So tell us a little bit about how you became passionate about nutrition specifically for women.
Yeah. And thanks for having me. Like, super excited about this. So how did I become passionate about nutrition, especially for women? Well, I always wanted to do something related to nutrition at the young age of 16. I just didn't know much about what a dietitian was. I think with most of us until I was on this search for colleges, like end of high school. And so growing up, I, struggled with my own body image challenges, just like most women. And, as I got older, I started doing sports. I really developed like a negative relationship with food. I wasn't really eating much. I was doing like crazy dieting, all the diets you find online, just never satisfied. And then during that time frame, I discovered nutrition, started doing research, learned that it was a science. And I was just super fascinated about the way food just has an impact on how you look, how you feel, and how it can be used for disease prevention. I mean, like in my family, diabetes and high cholesterol runs in it. And so immediately I realized like, I don't really know much about nutrition. I wasn't really educated on it growing up. So I really felt like I wanted to just be the voice in my community one day, just to empower people in their health and wellness. I'm into helping people. I love helping people. I love science. I love learning and I love food. I think most dietitians do, right? And health. And I knew I didn't want to be a doctor or nurse growing up. I mean, this is something that my parents stressed. And so nutrition was really just the best thing for me to pursue. And I just followed through with that. And so during just like different experiences, it really drew me to this field. I didn't really know where I was going with it, but I knew one day I would be doing something with just educating and empowering and like helping women. And then fast forward years later, became a dietitian, started my business, Flourish, which is a women's health nutrition platform and community where we're just helping women nourish a healthy relationship with food and empowering them to build confidence in their bodies and overall health, while really shining the light on overlooked topics like your, periods and hormone nutrition, body literacy, and just so much more. And so it first started off as me just creating educational content. And then we added the blog, and then we were kind of writing, weekly posts. I was contributing to, and I still am contributing to the media here and there, whether it's for a digital or print article to TV segments locally in the DC metro area, events and workshops. And then what else? I'm like, what else do I do? I'm a consultant, so I work with brands. Whether it's like hosting cooking demos for corporate companies, I'm speaking at an event. And now we recently launched a practice where we're, seeing a limited amount of clients for nutrition counseling. But then more so in the past 2 years, I started specializing in women's health. It was just kind of like general nutrition type of stuff like beforehand. But after counseling so many different women in various settings, I really found that a lot of women just struggle with, hormone related issues. And I felt that there was just more that I could be doing to help them improve their quality of life through diet and lifestyle. Someone close to me actually struggled with fibroids. So throughout that experience, it really pushed me to dive deeper in the world of women's health and kind of like hone in on that. And in our dietitian field, we know like diversity is something that has been talked about quite a lot, especially, in the past year. There's only 2.3% Black dietitians in the United States. And so I quickly noticed just a lack of representation in the women's health dietitian space. And I was getting a lot of people reaching out for nutrition counseling, a lot of women of color that were reaching out for nutrition counseling regarding like some other hormone conditions, looking for, diet, lifestyle advice. And I just felt like it was only right for me to help fill this void. Before I started my practice, they would reach out, but I was always like sending referrals, and I just felt so bad. I'm like, I could be, actually helping them. And so I advanced my training into a little bit of, functional nutrition, focusing on women's health, because I really want to help women dig a little deeper and find holistic ways to manage their hormone related conditions so they can live in abundance. So apart from that, I also do work at a GYN practice. I see patients who, struggle with painful periods, to those with PCOS or fibroids, et cetera. And that's pretty much that in a nutshell.
That's a large nutshell. I feel like you just explained like 5 different jobs to me that you have, like full-time jobs simultaneously.
I'm like, when I like hear myself say it, I'm just like, dang, like that's a lot going on.
Well, and I know that you've run a lot of wellness events. The Bloom Wellness Workshop was one that I was familiar with from, I think, did you run that in March?
I did. Yeah. I did. It was back in March, and was it International Women's Day, like that week? Yeah. So we did that back in March.
Awesome. And what inspired you to run that workshop? Because obviously it sounds like you have lots of different passions and lots of different ways that you like to show up and serve people. What was the impetus for actually creating that Bloom Wellness Workshop?
Yeah, so I've been hosting this wellness event, workshop, interactive, safe space, platform, whatever you want to call it. I've been doing that for the past, it's going to go on 4 years. I started that because I felt that there was a lack of, educational events centered around nutrition and just a lot of these topics that are overlooked in the community, but are just so important. So I'm based out here in the DC metropolitan area, and I didn't see much of that. So I just wanted to hold space for women to just come together where we can just learn, grow, and ultimately bloom, to be our best selves. That's really what Bloom is all about. So I really do feel like when it comes to our wellness and health as a whole, if we really get a chance to know our bodies, that's where we can become more confident and more empowered to, live our best lives. And so it's a wellness event we've been doing for a couple years. It's grown over the past years. I think last year was our biggest event. This year, I guess within the past year, 2020, we had to, I'm like confusing the year. So this year we're in 2021, and this year we held it virtually. And so it was really great because we got to reach so many people just outside of the DC area. But, last year was our last like in-person event, and it was such a great turnout. We talked about, reproductive sexual health, and we have a health collaborative approach. So we always collaborate or partner with other health professionals, because I feel like nutrition is just like one part of the picture when it comes to your overall health. So we pair up with mental health therapists, we pair with OBGYNs or doctors in various specialties, bringing them together to talk about a lot of these topics that are truly important that we kind of hide away from. So Bloom is just, it's just a safe space to come together and be empowered in our health and just learn and, kind of fellowship, with one another and share our stories. I just wanted to hold that space, and I'm happy with just seeing how much it's grown. And, I look forward to seeing where it ends and up in the next couple of years. I'm hoping it continues to grow and we can get more sponsorships and kind of serve other communities beyond just our own here in the DC metropolitan area. But that's what I love about the virtual space, because now we're reaching people from all over, I think our event earlier this year, we had people tuning in from Australia and Africa, and it was just all over. I was just super blown away. I love it. There's nothing better than connecting with women in real life. I initially thought okay, I'm going to have this event Bloom because I wanted to connect with women outside of social media. I think we're just so stuck on Instagram and, Twitter and Facebook or whatever the case is. I'm just there's so much more power when we are actually in person, in real life. There's something genuine and super authentic about just connecting with people in their faces, physically in the flesh. So that's really what kind of pushed me to do it. Of course, it's a lot of work to get it done, especially starting out. You may not have the resources and all that, but I just said, you know what, I'm just going to do it and pray to God that, he's going to, open the doors and provide the resources. And he's done that every single time. But on top of that, I think the last year was challenging in a way, for many of us, right? But I guess business wise, or when it comes to these events, I love the in-person experience, but that couldn't happen. And so I was just kind of I'm not going to do it, but I'm okay, you know what? This is still a great way to connect with people. It may not be in person, but there's so much power. And then, social media is a big tool for us to connect. So, but I did miss that in-person experience. I did miss that a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, hopefully I feel like we're starting to see a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel as far as events potentially happening soon.
Yeah.
So now I actually, I don't think I knew that the Bloom Wellness Workshop was originally an in-person event. So what did you learn from running those events, whether it's the in-person or the virtual? Because having run events myself, I know that there's a lot of moving parts. And even with an online event, it's there's so many things that you have to think about. So for the people that are listening that might be interested in doing something like what you're doing, where they have either in-person or virtual events, what kind of lessons could you share with them?
Well, the funny thing is, I don't think I want to go back to in-person events until it's
oh, really?
Unless it's a really small one, but I love the convenience of it. I was literally in my living room, in the corner, look cute on on what is that phrase that people say, party on top and something, what is on the bottom? I forgot.
Oh, business on top, party on the bottom.
Yes, there we go. Business on top, party on the bottom. I had my cozy, those furry, comfy slippers. And then I had my business suit on, so funny. But my point is, it was just really convenient, and I didn't have to worry about the logistics of, okay, I have to go and figure out setup and, being there hours before. There's so many different components of our event. It's more of a mini conference. So apart from the panel discussion or the sessions where you are listening to the speaker, there's also we have vendors, we work with brands, they'll come and they'll sell, and it always aligns with whatever topic we're talking about. So apart from the vendors, we would have food, so that I have to worry about food vendors and, music and all that. So, and then decor. So just a bunch of different things, but I didn't have to worry much about that this year because I just logged on my computer and I was hey, we did have a DJ, which was kind of fun. But yeah, cool. They tuned in virtually. When it comes to wellness and health, I think people think of it, I think it's usually described in a boring way almost. just so sciencey, so serious, right? But I always like to bring health and wellness to the table as something fun and exciting. And when I think about like empowerment and women's health empowerment, I'm thinking like, let's like, high energy. And so vibrant. And I was like, having a DJ is going to bring so much fun to this audience of mine, the Flourish Heights community. We had such a great turnout. Everybody loved the DJ. And we also had support from other brands. We had people that donated to the event. So that, yeah, it was really great. But to those dietitians who are interested in maybe they want to run events, first of all, just do it. I think we hear that quite a lot. But once you start, you kind of gain your own flow and figure out, what's working, what's not going to work for your unique community, because our communities are all different. What may resonate with mine may not necessarily resonate with yours. I'm not saying go get a DJ for your like wellness event or whatever the case is.
I mean, but also just do it because it's probably a great idea.
Exactly. Yeah, just do it. And I did a presentation recently at the Nutrition Entrepreneur Spring Summit. I don't know if you heard about that. They held their first Spring Summit I think back in April. So I was a speaker this year, and I talked about, how dietitians can use virtual events to, connect with their audience and build clientele, et cetera. But I think hosting virtual events really, really does give dietitian entrepreneurs an opportunity to not only connect with your unique audience, but you're building credibility. You have an opportunity to get clients. You have an opportunity to reach your revenue goals, whatever they are. And not only that, like you get to positively impact the world just beyond like your physical location. And I think this past year taught a lot of us that virtual events are not going. They're actually here to stay, which is why I said, I don't even know if I'll be going back to in-person events, because I loved it. It's more convenient for the people. I mean, they can tune in everywhere. So you're reaching people from all over. I didn't think I was going to have people from Australia tuning into my like women's wellness event. The platform that I use kind of told us where everybody's like tuning in, which was pretty cool. But yeah, I was like, Australia, that's insane. But it really does give you, an opportunity to connect with people from different walks of life. And it's a really amazing way to grow your business. And so, yeah, I think that would be the main thing, thinking about that. If, you're looking for ways to kind of grow and get more money and, just positively impact the world, virtual events can definitely be a tool and help you do that. For sure. And it doesn't have to be like a full-blown event that I do. I mean, you can use social media and do live streaming. You can do Facebook events, or whether it's a webinar or a panel. Like there's so many different opportunities out there and so many different platforms that help to support whatever your unique idea is or that you're executing.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of dietitian and just entrepreneurs in general, but a lot of the ones that listen are nutrition entrepreneurs. A lot of them think that to do some kind of even virtual event, because like we were saying with in-person events, there's so many details you have to think about, and it can be a little overwhelming. I mean, I've done a few events at this point, and it's just funny how it's like stuff like you think you've prepared for everything, and then something doesn't work the way that you were expecting. So, and like you said, the only way to really understand that is to actually do it and be like, oh, next time I'll make sure that we do this. So with the in-person events, there's all these other factors at play. Whereas with the virtual events, I think sometimes people assume they have to do this like big, like multi-day, like all these speakers and stuff. And I'm curious have you done like anything super short, just you, like just kind of a way to get in front of your audience that was less preparation involved than a event like the Bloom event?
Oh yeah. I mean, Bloom is definitely like one of our bigger events. I can only I contribute to Bloom or like host Bloom once a year because it is draining, like mentally, physically, emotionally. I'll add like this year, the night before the event, I was having like all these technical issues that we never had. And trust me, like I'm super organized. So I was meeting with my interns and the VA, my virtual assistant, like multiple times. Like I'm super perfectionist, type A, like all of us, dietitians, right?
But no.
So I was really, really like over preparing for just like the worst. And imagine like the night before, you're just doing your last run through, maybe running through the script, making sure everybody's good, checking with your speakers, whatever. And I just had like all these technical issues. So I was over here, shedding, like boo-hooing, like, what is happening? Like my interns were looking at me like, it felt so bad. But I mean, anyway, it turned out to be great. No technical issues really the day up. But yeah, it can be emotionally draining, mentally, physically, whatever. But, organizing yourself and doing your research and maybe talking to other dietitians who are doing it that can help you, guide your footsteps. But like you said, if this is not something like, if you're not going for something bigger, I've been doing, of course, smaller events. I mean, I really, really utilize Instagram Live, IG Live. Every month we come on and do a girl chat just to connect with the audience. We host, event. We collaborate with other professionals or leading experts in the women's health space. And then, we shine the light on overlooked topics. And so, I love Instagram for that, because I'm not over here preparing like I would for a Bloom event or just, a bigger or mini conference. But Instagram is super convenient. My audience is not really much on Facebook or Twitter. So Instagram is the main tool that I use. But yeah, I mean, there's not much that we're doing except for maybe if I'm organizing something, I might just coordinate with them on the back end and we just show up and do our thing. So definitely Instagram. I mean, of course, if I'm doing something offline, like participating in a webinar where I'm being interviewed, or I've done one where I hosted an event that was just like a one-off panel, probably like a 1 hour situation. That was easy. I didn't do much of that. So I like to mix it up because Valerie doesn't have the energy all the time to do all the things.
I don't know. You sound like you're doing a lot. So I feel like you have more energy than I do.
But yeah, I like to mix it up, but I also like to find ways I can like consistently engage with my audience. And they really love our girl chats that we do every month. And so, we usually get a good number of people participating, depending on how we're like promoting and stuff beforehand. The last minute ones harder, more challenging, but
the ones that you're like, I'm just going live. We'll see who shows up.
Exactly. I've done that a couple times, but it doesn't work for my audience. I like to plan it out a couple of days in advance.
Yeah. Well, I love that. And I have a lot of clients in the different programs that I run that sometimes get a little stuck on how to get in front of their audience. And it's really interesting because it's, something like that where you just schedule something. You're like, hey, we're going to go live on Instagram this day, this time. Here's the topic. And you don't even necessarily have to prepare anything, right? Like you could maybe collect questions ahead of time, but you could just see who shows up and see what kind of questions get asked. And I think sometimes kind of getting the barrier to entry lower and not thinking it has to be this like big production to be able to connect with your audience, to be able to put some good content out there. I love that you do such a wide variety of different marketing, publicity kind of things because first of all, I bet you get a lot of practice, which is always helpful to be practicing your video and your speaking skills, but then also just building that relationship with your audience and helping them, and then also showing them how you can serve them at a higher level if they decide to go ahead and work with you.
Yeah, 100%. So true.
So I also, while I was stalking you about all the different things that you're doing on your website, I saw that you had, I don't know if this is like multiple events or if this was just one, but I saw that you had run an event in Ghana in the past. So what was your vision for that event and what was that experience like?
Yeah, so you should know that I am Ghanaian. And so I was born here, but I was raised in Ghana for a couple of years. My entire family is there. My parents are from there. That's home. And so I wanted to see how I can create impact in Ghana, especially in the nutrition world, because there's not many. Like, I think the field is still very small, very extremely small in Ghana, and there's not many dietitians around. As a matter of fact, it's growing, but very slowly. A couple years ago, one day I was just on LinkedIn and I saw a dietitian. I was like really searching, but I saw a dietitian who was based in Ghana. I was like, oh my goodness, that's super cool. Like, let me connect with her. And then we started a conversation and then we exchanged numbers. And then I reached out to her because I just wanted to know like the system in Ghana and, what dietitians were doing, what kind of opportunities were available, just for my own, curiosity, because I always I'm here in the States and I have my business based here, but I'm always thinking about home no matter what. It's a part of me. It's a part of who I am. And so if I have an opportunity to go back home and do something for the community and create impact, then that's where I'll be. And so we connected through different conversations. Literally one morning I woke up, it was back in 2018. I just had a thought in the middle of the night. And I was going to Ghana to visit my grandparents, my family. It was like a family reunion. And I was like, my mind is always racing. I feel like when you're an entrepreneur, that's just what happens. You be like in the shower.
In the shower, yeah.
And an
brilliant idea comes out. Yeah.
You driving, idea comes up, cooking. It's just, so in that moment, it was probably 3-4 o'clock in the morning. I woke up. And I was like, okay, I go to Ghana in a couple of days. It's not really like I had planned this all along. I had 2 weeks at that point to be in Ghana. And I was only going to be in the city area for 3 days before I went out in the rural areas to see my grandparents. So I knew that this dietitian was based in the city area in Ghana. And so it's let me reach out to her. At that thought at 4 o'clock in the morning, I was like, man, wouldn't it be awesome if we held an event, a wellness event in Ghana? And I got to bring women together and find out the leaders in the community and just have an event. And that's pretty much what happened. At 4 o'clock in the morning, thought led to me messaging this dietitian, and her name is Sally. She's amazing. I reached out to her and I was like, hey, have you ever held an event before? She's like, yeah, she would do community events. So we got to talking and one thing led to another. We were like, okay, how about I was like, I'm coming to Ghana. I'll be there in a week and a half. Let's plan an event. She's like, in a week and a half, let's do it. And she's like, okay. I heard her, I was talking to her. She's like, okay. So it's how are we going to do that? Because first of all, there's a time difference. I think at that time, Ghana was probably 4 or 5 hours ahead.
Oh, that's it? I would have thought it was more.
Oh yeah, that's it. So 5 hours ahead, and we're in 2 different countries. How are we going to make this work? So, we made it work. Basically, fast forward, we did crazy promo. We found a place to hold the event. I found all the speakers. Luckily, I knew a couple people there already that were doing great things. One was personal trainer. She specializes in prenatal exercises and postpartum type of stuff. Then I connected with a mental health advocate. And then I was coming in to do more, body image, body confidence type of stuff. And then my dietitian colleague is there. So she knows how the system is, the food industry, agriculture, how all that works. So she came and talked about the local food. So boom, we had an event. It was going to be great. We had vendors. We did all the things. It was a mini Bloom, but in Ghana. So we had a week and a half. We just made it work. We connected with a bunch of people. We reached out to a bunch of people. It was great. We had 100+ people there, which was actually insane because we didn't know what to expect. We were just let's do it. But yeah, it worked. We did it. And that's pretty much what happens when you just have a plan, you have to execute it. You can't, if I would have sat around gosh, how am I going to plan an event in another country with a dietitian? I don't really know that. We've just had a couple conversations here and there. How am I going to bring this vision to life? But it was literally heavy on my heart. I would wake up and it's okay, it would keep bothering me. It's you have to do it. You have to do it. And so when we did the event, I was just yes, I'm so grateful I did it because we reached so many women. We realized there wasn't really a place for that in that part of Ghana. We wanted to continue it. Right now, of course, there's challenges when you have a business partner sometimes. And, we are both super ambitious women with our own businesses, managing our corporate roles and just doing all the things. So it's been really challenging to keep our business running as active. We've got an intern, of course, it's just been a lot. So last year we were actually planning an event. We planned an event right before the pandemic. This was March, early March. We're I was going to go to Ghana. We were going to do an event. It was going to be centered around body image. And so I had to cancel my ticket, and that's pretty much what happened. I think since then, the pandemic has really like disrupted a lot of our plans just with many people, right? And so unfortunately, we didn't get to have that event, but we did hold a campaign, which was called the Add a Plant campaign, just to encourage, Ghanaian women to get more whole foods into their eating routine. And so that was really successful. We reached, I forgot the number. I mean, but so many people, I don't have the analytics in front of my face, but it was such a great, successful campaign, but it was a lot of work. And I was like, I can't do this. So, but, occasionally we have chats here and there, and we hope, once the world gets back to like, normal, then,
whatever that means, right?
I literally, whatever that means. But, then hopefully we can, have another event or resume our ideas that we had before the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. So you have a whole separate business. Is that in Ghana that business exists?
I would call it more of, like an organization platform. It's called Women's Nutrition Ghana. And we started it, except like I said, it's been very challenging to keep it active, but I'm glad we still do have that space. So if we know we can pull off an event in a week and a half, like I'm super confident whenever we're ready to get back to it, we'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds kind of like when you went into that event, your expectations were not low in the sense that you thought it would go poorly, but you were like, I'm just going to show up and do whatever is possible to make this great. And you almost had like, more results, in air quotes, more people, more things happening that you wouldn't have necessarily thought when that idea came into your head in the shower that that's what it was going to look like. Is that your experience?
Well, it definitely wasn't in the showers. It was in my bed at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Your bed. Sorry, not the shower.
No, but I mean, in a way, but we're both I think I have a great business partner in Ghana because like we're the same, but I think like you said, it's a dietitian thing, super type A, organized, whatever. And so we went in knowing that I think it depends on what your definition of success is. To us, a successful event was just going to be that we brought some women together and we provided a safe space for the women in the community, and we were able to create impact. It wasn't necessarily about the numbers. That was a secondary thought. That wasn't even really much of a thought. I think it became a thought when we started realizing, oh crap, we have to like move to a bigger space.
And don't have enough space for all these people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I remember we did have to move to a bigger space, but like I said, she was great because she did a lot of the legwork in Ghana, being that I wasn't there physically. So it's like we executed it so well. We have certain skill sets that weren't really strong with her and vice versa. So we made it work. It was amazing. And I know, like I said, if, whenever we're ready to get back to it, when the world gets hopefully back to normal or whatever the case is, then we will resume and, come up with something else. So that lesson for me was like, if something is on your heart, an idea or a plan or whatever, you just have to do it and don't allow fear to become a barrier to you executing whatever that idea is. Because I wouldn't have known we would have reached 100 plus people planning an event in a week and a half in 2 different countries with someone I didn't really know like that. But it's like the way we just connected and our work ethic, everything was just it was unmatched. It was just like a perfect fit. And so, yeah, in that experience, it's just like, just do it and follow that desire, follow that thing in you that keeps saying, just go, And so that's what I did. And I think it was great to see the outcome of it.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny you keep calling yourself type A because I feel like you have that nice combination of being willing to take risks and being willing to kind of go for something that you don't know how it's going to turn out. Like you didn't know there was going to be over 100 people. That wasn't like, this is my plan. This is exactly what's happening. And it sounds to me like you're very committed to the actual execution and doing that in an excellent way, as opposed to it being like, oh, it has to be this many people. Because I'm guessing you would have probably thought it was a success if 10 people showed up, 20 people showed up.
100%. Yeah, of course.
So I love that because I feel like a lot of people, they get so wrapped up in again, air quotes, results, right? Like, oh, I have to have this big result. I have to have this big audience or this big, this number of people. And they get so focused on the visible outcome that they don't really focus as much on just showing up and doing your best and like just seeing what happens, right? And so I love that that was your mindset around it, because I feel like that probably, first of all, made it actually doable, that you were like, oh, I'm going to do this in a couple weeks and it's going to work. And, you're like, I'm just going to make it happen. So, but then also it sounds like the success of the event from like a numbers perspective was probably related to how you and your partner committed to that vision, no matter what the actual outcome looked like, which that was kind of more of my thought when I was saying that you didn't necessarily have this like specific metric to say, I have to have this many people for this to be a good result.
Yeah, because it wasn't even like we didn't do it. It was a free event. It wasn't even for the money or anything. I mean, we were like a new platform. We just wanted to come and create a safe space for women. And I think even with my business, Flourish, I always just think about the why. Why am I doing it? With everything I've done so far, I just always thought about the community. I would think about the people, which is what pushes me, because I'm like, at the end of the day, it's not really about me. I'm just like the vessel, and I just have to do this job. I feel like it's like a responsibility I have, right? And I think this is why I know it's purpose work, because it's not about me, it's about others. And so when I see like how much my business has grown, especially in the past year and a half, I think it's mind blowing to me, because I'm like, of course we all want to see growth. We don't want to be stagnant. We want to continue to grow or expand. But when I see, how much it's grown, just like, this is amazing, but it's not something that is on the forefront of my mind all the time. As a matter of fact, like people that know me would be like, like, I know some people won't believe me, but it's like, I like to be on the back burner, like doing my own thing. And it's just funny. I was having a conversation with somebody about this. It's like, you don't want to sit there and become like, get in the spotlight. It just kind of happens. And that's what kind of happened with me. I'm not over here like, oh, I want to do this and do that and like be in front of people. But it's just like the work that I started, it's just like being pushed out there. And I don't mind it. I think that's a great way to reach more people. So I'm okay with it.
You'll handle the spotlight if it hits you, right?
Right.
I love that. And I think, that's really good advice for entrepreneurs in general, but other nutritionists that are maybe getting a little bit wrapped up in some of the less, I guess, client or customer centric metrics, things like how much money am I making? How many followers do I have? That kind of thing. And to be fair, obviously you're running a business. You do have to think about money. You can't just do everything for free, right? So, we're not saying don't think about it at all, but I do think your success, I'm sure, has a lot to do with that focus on helping as being something that is so important to you. And I'm sure your audience picks up on that. And there's something about that, like, really pure desire to help people that I think can actually grow a business very quickly. So it's kind of this funny contradiction where it's like focusing less on how's the business working and focusing on how am I helping people is actually a way for both to work really well.
You said it perfectly. That's exactly what it is.
Well, you're the one that brought it up, so I love it. And as far as your company is concerned, what is your long-term vision? Like, where do you see this going? Because it sounds like you have so much stuff, so many things, so many different ways that you're serving people. Do you have like a bigger vision that's driving you towards some kind of outcome? Or is it kind of one of these, like, I'm just going to show up and serve and we'll see where this thing takes me?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, I have big plans for the platform. I guess number one is, I think with our Bloom event, it's something that sets us apart. And that's something that it creates a space for people to actually come and be empowered. I mean, of course, we have our social media, we have our blog, we contribute to the media and do all these things to do that. But like I said, there's nothing more powerful than just bringing people into a space to actually learn and grow and gain the knowledge to be their best selves. And I'm hoping for a greater impact with that throughout the years. I mean, challenging. I think the first couple of years, I did have help, when you're first starting off, maybe your friends and your family are the people helping you, right? But as you kind of expand, I've been able to bring on VAs. I've been able to have support from interns and others. And so my big thing right now is sponsorships and getting more money to hold larger conferences so we can have the resources we need to really execute and really reach more and more people. So that's pretty much where, like, one of the many things that I see happening with this business. I'm very particular about what I share to the world when it comes to my plans and such, but I know that there's a lot that God has in store for us, and we're just going to keep plugging away. And then, of course, we want to also build a larger team, just have more RDs. I mean, we started a nutrition practice, and so hopefully in the upcoming years, we can build a larger dietitian squad of women's health practitioners, diverse, and be able to offer help and counseling to women all over. So I guess that'll be the main thing. That's where I want to see the brand. That's where the brand is going, and that's where it will go.
Amazing. And I have to ask you, what inspired the name Flourish Heights?
Okay, long story short, I said this like in the beginning, I feel like, but yeah, I mean, this was back in 2014. I was in college and I wasn't even really in the nutrition program yet. I was doing like the foundational coursework you have to do. I think at that year I was doing like biochem and organic chem and all
the
that.
most fun things.
All the fun things, I know. But at that point, I was really, really like in a down season in my life. And so I was on the verge of like, why am I doing this? Am I going to be able to get through this season? Am I going to be able to get into the dietetics program? All that. So at that time, I mean, I'm still someone who journals quite a lot. So in that season of my life, I did a lot of reflecting, a lot of meditating, a lot of trying to find out like what is, I had a why, but it's like, now I'm really like at a critical point of like just getting into the program moving forward. And so I just felt like I had to sit with myself and try to find like what that push was going to be. So in that moment, I did a lot of thinking, reflecting, and I knew like, okay, well, one day I want to help women. I started to think about like when it comes to your wellness journey or just wellness and health, what comes to mind? And I started to think about like, okay, well, I think about a seed that you have to like plant, and that's like that seed of commitment. And I think of like, as you learn and you grow and you work on yourself, you're ultimately like watering that seed. You're watering that seed in the plant. As you're watering it, you start to see it grow. You start to see the leaves. You start to see the flowers. And then you start to see flowers. You start to flourish. So I know it's like really deep. And so it's like, but in that moment, I was like, what do I want to preach to the people when it comes to health and wellness? And that's what I thought about. I just kept thinking about a plant. I was like, and as you're watering this plant and it starts to flourish, I was like, okay, well, this is something that's continuous, because when you think about your wellness journey, it's not something that it just happens once and you finish the race and it's done. It's an ongoing process. You're constantly making progress. You may have days that are better than the others, but guess what? You keep going. When I think about health and I think about wellness, I think about flourishing, but not necessarily flourishing once, but flourishing like continuously. And that's where heights come from, because when you think about heights, it's something that's ongoing. You're just going up and you're being elevated. So very deep, but that's pretty much how Flourish Heights came about. And in that season of my life back in 2014, at that really dark point, I wrote that name down in my journal and I said, you know what, this is what's going to be that push. That's what I'm going to keep thinking about throughout my whole undergrad process, getting into the internship, all that like crazy stuff, getting to the point where you're doing your matching and then doing your rotations and passing the boards, whatever, getting your job. So I knew that it was like, okay, one day I'm going to come back to this page in my journal. And when I get my RD credentials, I'm going to get to work. And that's literally what happened. As soon as I passed my boards, I went back to my journal and I started mapping out my business, and I just, I launched it. That's pretty much how it all started.
That's amazing. I love that story. I love deep stories and things that are like, this journey of you being inspired to get through that hard stuff. Cause, I definitely do not want to be back in school doing organic chemistry and that kind of thing. So that's great that that was something that kind of propelled you to now. And now you have this amazing business, and I'm sure there's going to be even more heights that are reached over the next several years.
I love that so much. Like I said, we're empowering women. We're educating and just empowering them to nourish their bodies and build a healthier relationship with food, and to get them to flourish heights in every area of their life, because wellness is not just one area, it's the whole you. So that's the work that keeps me going.
I love it. Well, and you have a podcast that I'm sure our audience will be thrilled to start listening to. So can you tell them a little bit about that before we wrap things up?
Yeah, absolutely. So we launched a podcast. This was mid-May for Women's Health Month, and which is super exciting. It's been on my to-do list for such a long time. I mean, I love connecting with people, giving people a platform to share their stories while collaborating with other health professionals to bring important topics to the table, like periods. And so it's really just an expansion of the work we already do, but just a different outlet. We launched a few weeks ago, like I said, and we just dropped our first official episode just this past weekend. So it's available on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, iHeartRadio. So I'd love if you subscribe. I want to say I didn't really see a space of dietitians doing much around women's health in the podcast world, because I think there's a small percentage of dietitians right now who have a podcast. So I was like, I wanted to, start this. And I think what better time than now?
Amazing. Well, I am definitely going to share that link with our audience in the show notes if you guys want to check out. It's just called the Flourish Heights podcast. Is that correct?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yep.
Awesome. So we will link to that in the show notes. You guys can check it out. And if you're a dietitian or a nutritionist, maybe you want to connect with Valerie and let her know if you've got a cool topic to talk about on her show, since it sounds like she's going to have some guests as well.
Yeah.
Well, Valerie, it was so awesome to have you here and to hear your story, and just to hear not only how you came up with a lot of these ideas, but just the way that you show up in such a service-minded way, but then also in a way that is obviously very entrepreneurial and very go-getter, which I love. That's my favorite kind of combination. So thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was so great to chat with you.
Awesome. And we will look forward to seeing you all on our next episode of the Fed and Fearless podcast. Take care, everybody. Hey there, Laura here again. Are you a dietitian or nutrition entrepreneur who wants to start or grow an online business? Are you feeling stuck, frustrated, or even downright scared to take the next step towards your dreams of entrepreneurship? Trust me when I say that I've been there before too, and that you are not alone. I've been running my own online business since 2014, and I started my website and blog just about 10 years ago. And over the past decade, I've learned a lot and made a lot of mistakes when it came to creating the multiple six-figure business I now run today. And if there's one thing I've learned since starting my business, it's that you don't have to figure out how to transform your knowledge, expertise, and passion into profitable online courses, digital products, memberships, and coaching services on your own. Now, contrary to popular belief, becoming an in-demand expert in your nutrition business isn't about being egotistical or selfish. It's about having a deep commitment and a burning desire to help others. And if you're not growing your business successfully, there are hundreds and maybe even thousands of people out there who are missing out on the opportunity to get the amazing help and support that you were born to provide. You're here for a purpose, and if helping people improve their health by running an online business is one of your purposes, then I have an exciting opportunity that'll help you build your business even faster and easier than ever before. My world-class business coach, James Wedmore, is going to be opening the doors soon for his game-changing online program called Business by Design. This program helps struggling service-based coaches and course creators transform their businesses from the inside out, so they can experience the time and financial freedom they desire while having a bigger impact on the world. In this one-of-a-kind program, James shows you exactly what keeps most business owners stuck and struggling and coaches you through the 5 key areas that you need to focus on to overcome whatever is standing in the way of your success. His program also provides a wealth of how-to and instructional content that'll help you execute every important task in your online business, from running a launch successfully to hiring your first VA and everything in between. I consider BBD my business Bible, and I've seen health and nutrition entrepreneurs become wildly successful in their online businesses through applying what James teaches, both from a strategy and a mindset perspective. And these kind of incredible results are possible for you too. Now, if you don't know James Wedmore, he's a self-proclaimed serial entrepreneur who has built multiple 7-figure businesses in multiple niches. He's also one of my favorite coaches and mentors and has helped me completely transform my mindset around business so I could grow my income and my impact while also working less and enjoying life more. The financial and time freedom I've experienced has been life-changing. And I want you to have that experience in your business as well. So if you're ready to start taking charge of your business and your life, go to lauraschoenfeld.com/BBD waitlist. That's BBD WAITLIST. And I'll be sharing more about James's amazing online business program, Business by Design. And if you decide to join BBD under me using one of my affiliate links, you'll also receive bonus coaching from me, plus additional training content covering tools and strategies that are specific to nutrition and dietitian entrepreneurs who want to start, grow, or scale their business to 6 figures and beyond. These bonuses are my gift to you absolutely free when you enroll in Business by Design using my affiliate link. So don't miss your chance to learn the business strategies that have changed my life and the lives of thousands of online entrepreneurs. It's time to step into the role of confident nutrition CEO in your online business. And I can't wait to support you on your journey to becoming the successful nutrition entrepreneur that you were born to be. Go to lauraschoenfeld.com/BBD waitlist to learn more, and I'll see you inside the program.